What's up, traders? Andrew O'Connell here with Pristine Capital. Welcome to your market recap video. It is August 5th of 2022. It is Friday, so happy Friday, everyone. And I just want to thank everyone for watching these videos. You guys are awesome. Always click the like button. Do your part to support the Pristine Capital trading community. That way, we'll keep making these videos for you. Let's dive in. We're going to talk about a few things today. Obviously, always the price action. We're going to talk about the NFP data that came out. We're going to go through our normal charts, whatever. We're also going to talk about the Pristine Capital long-term investing portfolio rebalance. Let's dive in, and let's start with our box scores, as we always do. S&P 500, it finished down 0.17%. NASDAQ QQQ finished down 0.82%, our biggest loser for the day. IWM small caps were pretty strong. They were up 0.77%. Our dogs of the Dow were also up a smidge, and the ARK Innovation ETF was down 0.2%. Oddly enough, that occurred as Tesla was down over 6%. So some good performances from the other names in that portfolio. Pretty much every index closed towards the top of its day's range. We did have a volatility crush, despite the fact that a lot of these indices closed red. It does appear that a lot of these put buyers, they've completely given up, team. Their puts have just cost them money. They've taken a 12% equity rally to the face. And we had 60% advancers in the small caps. Overall, 62.6% up volume. The trend model did flip from +3 to +1 early on in the session. But then it ended up flipping back about halfway through the day towards the tail end of the session. What was the big story for today? We did get jobs data, team. So early in the morning at 8:30 a.m., we got the non-farm payrolls data. And lo and behold, the U.S. economy created about twice as many jobs as were expected. And there's been this big narrative in the market. Oh my gosh, the economy's slowing so much. That is good for Treasuries. Those are bid. It's great for these high growth assets. It's great for everyone thinking that the Fed can slow down on their monetary policy tightening. But oh my gosh, the U.S. economy just created twice as many jobs as everyone expected. Is that a bad thing? No, it means the economy is doing pretty decent at the very least. And the Treasury market really reacted to this. So take a look at what happened to the 2-year Treasury. It's a pretty steep advance for one day. This was a 1 standard deviation move. But yeah, pretty sizable. And then same thing with the U.S. 10-year Treasury yield. We went from a trough on August 1st of about 2.6%, a little bit over that. Now we're trading at about 2.83% for that 10-year Treasury yield. But did equities care? No, not really. Not the S&P 500. But you can see that this is a pretty mixed bag. A lot of the big old tech monopolies, they actually faced some downside today. But other than that, it was really just Tesla week. Energy was the strongest group. So I gotta say, when we get these days in the market, hey, I see this weakness in treasuries. Is it going to continue? Is that going to ripple out into equities? Market's kind of moving sideways. It's bouncing around. When that's occurring, and especially when we're in a weak seasonal month like August, that tends to be choppy. A lot of fund managers are out of the office. They're on vacation. They're partying. They're out with their wives, whatever they do. When I'm just seeing things look really ambiguous, I tend to just trade a little bit less. It's so funny. In trading, a lot of things are so self-explanatory. To be a really good trader, it's really just mastering the fundamentals. And one of those fundamentals is when you don't know what's going on, just don't trade as much. So I tried to live by that today, and I think that's a good way of just staying out of trouble. When things are just chopping around, it's often best to just take a chill pill and relax. And what's cool is, that's the beauty of being a trader, that it's all about just performance. It's not about sitting at the desk or anything like that. But let's dive into sectors. Biotech was a big winner today, up 4.05%. It's back in our number one momentum slot. So as we do our Pristine Capital weekend market analysis videos and our weekend watch list videos, I'm going to be sure to definitely take a look at that sector. I do think there's a few stocks setting up there. If you're interested in receiving either our weekend watch list video, weekend market analysis video, go ahead, visit pristinecapital.net. We would love to have you. Check us out. All right, let's take a look here. What else was up? Blockchain assets. They were up 0.78% today, team, and they're in our number 3 momentum slot. And I would say in terms of like this theme, no one's really paying attention to this. Certainly not the punters yet. So consider this. Remember like solar stocks, how like when they just moon to the highs and like, after they had like their big move, then everyone suddenly has solar stocks on the radar. And they've moved down a couple slots on our momentum list. They did have a pretty decent session today. But I kind of see the same with blockchain. There's always a benefit to being early to these trends. And the blockchain trend, it's certainly not catching fire. It's not extended, nothing like that. What else do we have? KWEB was down on the session, these Chinese equities. EMQQ was down, gold miners. So we did have some mixed action. It wasn't all winners across the board, but there were some nice standouts. Style factors. We had the small cap value style factor was up 0.58%. It's very odd. That's not usually like the big leader. And then what else do we have? The momentum style factor was up 0.35%. Again, we had a mixed board. High beta did sell off a little bit. Growth also sold off just a little bit. International momentum as well. So kind of like a mixed bag, as you can tell. Now let's take a look at these headline indices and let's read through these tea leaves, team. So let's take a look here. /ES, S&P 500 futures finished down 0.25%. Not a big deal, right? We've been moving sideways throughout August. So you can see these are the first couple days of August. It's really been a chop fest. Nothing really to say here. What I will say, though, is when we're in this sideways chop, here's where it gets deadly. The average trader, they likely have some sort of bias and their ego's attached to it. They either think the market's going to go up or they think it's going to go down. And on this choppy day, boom, they're adding to those exposures. Next day, they're adding to those exposures. Next day, they're adding to those exposures. Next day. And you can really just like rack up positions and really just get yourself chopped up. And then all it would take is one day of bad price action to wipe out all of these candles and have a bearish engulfing. Same thing if you're net short. All it would take is just one day to break us out of the range and suddenly you're in big trouble. So when the market is going sideways, I try to just be a little bit less active. In terms of scalping, I'm a decent scalper at best. I try to just stick in my lane and on these kinds of days, these are honestly days where it's like you can just get a little time off the screen. And check this out. On our hourly chart, you can really see this was just a consolidation. And we're going to have a pretty tight weekly value area heading into next week. Let's take a look at what the NASDAQ did. NASDAQ. Boom. Yeah, this, very nice trajectory higher. Also just put in a sideways move. Russell 2000 was our big winner for today. Check this out. Putting in a pretty decent candle. And of course, our dogs of the Dow also put in really just a sideways candle. So let's talk about my trades for the day. And then from there, we'll talk about the long-term portfolio rebound. So let's take a look. My trades are right over here. Let's go into the Pristine Capital Discord. And let's dive in, team. So what do we do? So I did add to my long-term Bitcoin position in my Coinbase account. I got a cost basis this morning of $23,402.21. I really think this crypto institutional adoption is coming. It's on the way. It's not going to happen overnight, but it is upon us, team. What's so funny, all those crypto heads, when Bitcoin is at like 69,000, they were all like, oh my gosh, institutional adoption. And they were all screaming about it. Now that Bitcoin's at 23,000 and we're actually going to get institutional adoption, no one's screaming about it. And I absolutely love that. So yeah, added a little bit to my long-term holding, added to the stack. Then what else did I do? I did close out my DQ trade, and this was my biggest trade by far. I had about 30% of my account in DQ. And here's why I closed it out. Really just, honestly, like this trade, I think it's got all the makings of a nice winner. But the one problem is it's a Chinese equity. So like I was looking at some of the other solar stocks today. I'm like, Enphase is up 1.72%. CSIQ, this was another name I was watching, up 3.63%. Really like all of these were just having nice moves. And I'm looking at DQ. This thing has every reason to be trading higher. The valuation's so low. The sales growth is fantastic. Earnings growth fantastic. But we do have these US-China tensions, and that might be enough to just ruin this trade idea. So that's why I was like, does this really deserve being in the top slot of my portfolio? It's showing some relative weakness here. No. So I had one of two options. One was either just trim the position a little bit, and two was just close the position. I felt a little bit iffy about the market, so I did just close out the position. Got a nice little base hit in it. I think I made like 2% on this trade. But yeah, I just decided, hey, let's pull this in. Worst case scenario, it goes up without me. Who really cares? And then on the other hand, maybe the market takes a spill next week. Who knows? Maybe I'll get a better opportunity to deploy that capital. So you never know. That's why it's like when in doubt, it's better to pull things in, because the real way to make money over time is by not losing money. So that's super important. So yeah, took off DQ. We'll see. I'm going to keep that one on the watch list and keep it on the radar. Just because I'm closing it out doesn't mean I say goodbye to the stock. And then I added to my Huddy mining position. So take a look at this. I noticed, hey, the relative strength in these crypto miners. Huddy mining added at $2.35. We're trading above this monthly value area, team. This 20-day simple moving average, it is catching up to price. And I would imagine smart money is going to start realizing, hey, the institutional adoption, it's coming around the corner. And yeah, that's a reason to add some crypto exposures. Crypto miners, they're essentially a leveraged way to get exposure to a crypto industry advance. Now, let's also touch on the long-term portfolio rebalances. I manage these long-term portfolios in M1 Finance. M1 Finance is an absolutely awesome platform. And these portfolios, they're designed to compete against the Vanguard Target Retirement Date funds. Here's some changes that we made. We reduced the exposure to commodities, and we shifted that exposure into the other elements of our risk pie. The risk pie consists of equities, commodities, and crypto. So we increased the allocation to equities and crypto within that pie. But then we reduced the allocation to the risk pie, and we moved it into the new cash equivalents pie. I'm just seeing the risk reward here of this market. I'm seeing these put buyers are really just retreating and the call buyers are taking control. I see we're extended from some of the key moving averages. So I'm taking this opportunity after riding the 12% advance in the markets to just take a small piece off and put it into the cash bucket. If you are in the Pristine Capital investing community, go ahead if you're not already invested in these portfolios, or if you're just interested, Alexa, stop. Or if you're just interested in observing them, go ahead, DM me with your target date. We have everything from 2020 all the way up to 2065. These things, it's definitely been a labor of love creating these. It's just really something from my days at Vanguard that just sprung to life. So definitely feel free to DM me with those, and I'll send them over to you if you're a Pristine Capital member. If you're not, you want access to any of this stuff, again, go to pristinecapital.net, and we would love to have you. All right. With that being said, that about does it for this market recap video. Hope everyone had a fantastic session. As always, we'll see you all next time, team.